All right. Well, let's say that I decide that I'm going to get a little bit funny here.
Okay.
And I'm going to say 8 SAP.
All right. Because how do you know?
I don't know.
To enter. You just said enter my birthday, and if you're used to typing in the month spelt out, then that's the way you're going to enter it.
Exactly.
I got a bad feeling this is not going to end well.
This is not going to end well. You'll notice, sure enough,
wow.
It did not end well, and it gave me a very, very, very long error message. But you're going to notice the key part to this right here, which is does not match the format, month, day, year. So, you know, granted, yes, a lot of that is very ugly, but it still did a very good job of telling me, the developer, this is what went wrong, that they didn't give it to me in the correct format. Now, how could you solve that? Well, when you're dealing with a console app, there isn't necessarily a very simple way to solve that. That if I'm working on a Windows app, then what I could do is I could just go in and give them a control where all that they can type in is the specific values that I want, or they only have to choose it from the UI, and that's it.
I have a suggestion, actually, from somebody in the audience of how you solve the problem. Tell them.
Hey, that's
why not
enough.
Why not in that statement when you're asking them to enter a date? Tell them the format you expect. So
yep,
absolutely, you guys have already figured this out.
And it's sort of stealing my thunder here.
I know. Well, it was actually our coders have already solved it.
I had a slide.
Yeah. Sorry, we got usurped. Somebody in the audience already beat us to it.
All right. Well, let's go back to my Visual Studio and take a look at it. And actually, all kidding aside, that one of the things that I always find is if somebody's jumping ahead and they've already figured something out,
that means you get it.
Yeah, exactly. That means that we're going along the right path. Or if somebody asks a question and we answer it, you know, like 2 seconds later, that always means that we're down the right path. So I'm actually very happy.
That is actually, yeah, exactly. I'm seeing lots of great questions where it's like, we're about to cover that. So I can tell that some of this, you guys are immediately not only understanding, you're thinking, but then when I want to, and we're trying to address those, we're trying to get to them. So you're thinking the right way.
Yep, exactly. Now, I just updated the code here to kind of add that in. And the nice thing is that putting that month, day, year, that's sort of a convention that most people understand, that if you've gone to a lot of websites, you know, for like credit card expirations and things like that. So you've seen all of that. So now I'm sort of prompting the user, hey, this is what we want. So, okay. Now, back to our slides. There we go. All right. Now, you could also add error handling.
Yeah, that's not going to, you still want to tell them to enter the right format, but in addition to that, you should probably include some error handling, which we'll cover tomorrow. Just because if they do enter something in the wrong format, maybe just because they hit hit / instead of /.
Yeah.
You don't want the code going and exploding everywhere and giving them all these ugly messages. Said tomorrow we'll look at how to handle that a little more gracefully.
Is there a module where you can add on that sound effect?
The
yeah, exactly.
Sound. I'll have to look up if I can find a Python module that allows sound effects. That would be awesome. All right.
All right. In any event, so the dates then, this seems like a bit of work. So why not just work with everything with strings? Well, the problem is, what about calculations? That about the only thing that I can do with a string is concatenation. Well, now you're going to notice that I've got things like the ability to do addition and subtraction, because it knows what a day is.
And so can I point out how awesome this is? One of my first real-world programming assignments, I was my first programming job. Graduated school, got a job. I was a member of like 20 programmers on a team writing code. And one of the things we had to do, we had to determine things like the number of days between 2 dates. And we didn't have this function or this ability in our code. We had, I kid you not, it was a 700-line program that had about 9 different functions in it to do things like, say, tell me the number of days between 2 dates, but would convert Gregorian dates to Julian dates and back to Gregorian dates. It was a beast of a program. So the fact that we can do things like say, well, just tell me the number of days between these 2 dates by subtracting date A from date B, still brings me back to the days when I had to write that code from scratch. And let me tell you, that took a little while. So it's fantastic, but all we have to do is say, subtract date A from day B and tell me how many days.
It always seems so simple, but yeah, it really, and it wasn't
We take it for
that
granted
long
now.
ago.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, because I'm only 29.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, only 29. Right. So back over here to 29.
That's right.
29.
Continue.
Okay. All right. Okay, so coming back over to here, seems like a bit of a hassle, so why go in and do it? Well, you're going to notice here that we could go in and just do the subtraction. And you'll notice that we'll get a difference there, and then we can see the number of days. So let's actually just go in and do this real quickly here. Where's my Visual Studio? Beautiful. So I've got my my birthday, and let's go in and just simply say print, and I'm just going to kind of keep it real simple here. Is I'm just going to say days equals, and let's say birthday minus current date, and we'll just do a print and days.
Sure.
There we go. Just kind of keep it nice and easy. And I could have made it, a little bit fancier there. That I could have gone in and maybe
okay.
Oh, it's giving me a problem between date and date time.
You just doing some data type conversions there? Is this the part where I start juggling and doing data? Did we mention in one of the earlier modules that somewhere along the way we would have an error or a mistake in our code? I think so. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, that's why.
It happens, guaranteed. You think you got it there, Christopher?
Yeah, this is one of those, sometimes you just start moving too fast and you just forget a little bit of code. Here's what I want to highlight, because this is actually very important. And I always love when something goes sideways, because it does give us the opportunity to kind of use this as a teaching moment. I want you to notice something, and actually it's sort of funny because this will be our next slide. I want you to everybody read aloud the word that I have just highlighted there, the word that I'm
Date time?
Circling. Date time. Date time, is that a single word or is that two words?
Date time appears to be showing up there as a single word.
Okay, but in English it's how many words?
Date and time could be treated as two words.
Two words,
yes.
okay, so date
and time, yes.
So this is a different object. This is both date and time. The only thing that I'm interested in is the date. So you know what I need to do? Is I need to just tell it I only want the date.
Oh yes.
That was where I went wrong. And this is something that comes up constantly. It comes up in programming. The biggest place where this comes up is in databases. When you're doing reports, ask somebody about the midnight problem, which is when you're trying to get today's all the orders from today. You can't just simply go in and say where date equals and then whatever today's date is, because in a lot of places it's going to be date time. So that would include midnight then as the time. Well, if the order was at 3 o'clock, that's not going to come out as equal. So there's a couple little tricks that you can use to get around it, but that was the trap that I fell into here. So I just needed to make sure that I use date. So now, let's just, let's go in and dot date.
There we go.
Now,
that should help.
Hit start, and then now let's go 9, 30, 20, 14, enter. And now you're going to notice 7
Hey,
days.
7 days.
Hey.
Awesome. Very
All right. Cool. And then you'll also notice that I could have gone days off of that, which would just give me the days. So we'll just say 9, 30, 20, 14. And you'll notice just 7 days.
7 days. So you could just return just the number of days in between.
Exactly, yeah. I'm just going to put that off to the side, kind of let that sit there on the screen for a second.
Sure.
So that way anybody who's following along kind of has the ability to see, oh, okay, that's what we did. And,
okay.
And again, just to kind of review, that was the part that I missed right there.
That was it. That was the mistake you had in your code.
That was,
You'd forgotten to say, just give me the date
Just
portion.
give me the date. Exactly.
All right.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Let's go back to slides. So, now, here's the thing. You are going to be amazed at the amount of work that you have to do with days. Susan told the story from a while ago, again, only 29,
yep.
Where she had to go in and write 700 lines to go in and start tweaking and working with dates. Again, we're not launching rockets here. Whatever it is you're trying to do, somebody else has already done. Chances are they've already been kind enough to go in and create a little project. So if we take a look, you're going to notice date util. So let me just click on date util. And there is a whole set of different functions and otherwise that are available to you to go in and play with. So you could go in, download this little module, and then start playing around. Source code development, you're going to notice, interesting. See, not everything is inside of GitHub. This is actually using Launchpad. There you have it. So, but in any event, although all similar products there. But in any event, the big point that I want to make is if you are looking for some bit of functionality, I promise you it's out there. All that you have to do is just kind of go look, and you'll be able to find it. Promise. All right. Let's close all of this out, taking a look at the other part of datetime, which is?
The time.
There you go. What about times? Well, you're going to notice date time, so yes, it can in fact store times. There we go. So if we go in, we say datetime.now, you're going to notice that I could go in, grab the hour, grab the minute, grab the second to go in and print all of that out. And you'll also notice that there's a whole bunch of different format strings that are available. Remember again, strftime.org will show you all of those that are available. I'm not going to sit here and just keep reading them all to you.
You wouldn't memorize them anyway.
Well, yeah.
There's no point. You look them up when you need them.
Exactly. And me reading them, I would just wind up putting people to sleep. Yeah.
And it's late in India right now.
Exactly,
so
yeah. It's late a lot of places right now, yeah. Okay, so let's just kind of go back to my little code. I'm just going to comment that bottom part out. Again, Control-K, Control-C, Control-K, Control-C.
Yep.
Comment. I'm just going to sneak back up here, and I'm just going to say print current date, and let's go in and say current date dot day or dot minutes.
Okay.
There we go. And hold on one second, because I think I'm going to be wrong up here. There we go. I want now, not just today.
Yeah,
I want now.
Okay.
So now, let me go back in.
Do you want to go just double check that syntax on the slide?
There we go.
Okay.
Nope,
I'm
good.
Missing a close. We were talking earlier about closing
Have
double
some
brackets.
faith.
All right.
And now, have some faith, and I still blew it. But that's okay. So let me do this. I've got all sorts of funny things going on.
I wasn't quite sure why you had that extra date in there.
There we go. And I'm still missing something. That's all right. You know what I'm going to do? You know why? Because I had started going one direction, and I just sort of went a different direction with all of that. But
that's fine.
Yeah, but in any event, and I'm just going to leave that there at the moment. But what you're going to notice there is that we could go in, use the date time like that. We could also go back in and go grab our hour, our minute.
We have properties. We have properties, just like we did with dates. We could use string of time, just like we did with dates. The only difference is we're dealing with the times.
Exactly. Yep. So there's our little minute, and then away we go from there. So you can go in and go grab all of that, and there it is. Okay. So dates times. Again, here's the thing. You are going to find yourself working with date times on a regular basis. And yes, as we've seen, working with date times, again, not difficult.
It's fiddly.
It's fiddly. It's a little funky. It's a little bit can be a little quirky at times. The biggest thing that I really want to have gotten across here is sort of three things. Number one is the fact that we do have date time.
Yes.
Number two, the basics of how to go in and play around with date times, how to accept user input, how to do a little bit of math, a little bit of display functionality. And then finally, last but not least, number 3, and this is the biggest point, and it's a point that I know I've made over and over and over again today, but it really is that important. Whatever it is that you're going to be looking to do, somebody else has done it. There are utilities that are out there. Don't be afraid to go grab them. That we talked about the date util, we talked about localization utilities, we talked about the function strings. Go take a look at all of those. Go use those to help make your life easier. Okay, so with that, I have a challenge.
All right, and this one, be prepared. You've seen us struggling with the formats of this one, so this one's going to be a little more difficult for you because you're going to have to deal with some of the formatting issues.
So what you want to do, ask your user, give you a deadline, figure out how many days it is that they're going to have. Maybe also go ahead and give it to them in some combination of like weeks and days.
So I would suggest, first of all, just try and solve it so it tells them how many days they have to complete the project.
Yep.
Once you get that working, then you say, all right, bring it on. Now I'm going to break it down and give it to them as days and hours or days and minutes and things like that. So break it down. But I would suggest get the first part working and then go to the next level.
Yep. Cool. Well, with that, what do you say we take 10 minutes? Yep. And then we'll come on back, depending on something. I was trying to get a segue. I was trying to get a joke there, and it failed. We're going to talk about if statements, which is all about we're going to do one thing if something is true. So depending on this, we're going to do. Anyway.
You were just trying to be clever. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.
There we go.
We'll
be back in about 10 minutes. All right. We'll see you then.